Bad MMA Math is back with another breakdown for UFC 292. I waited for this one to get the full lineup, and once it was announced, I kind of wish I hadn't bothered, to be honest. It's not the most stacked card for a pay-per-view, but I'm all on board for the fights we do have, with so much at stake in so many different bouts. Will there be a new champion crowned this weekend? Let's find out right now. First fight here is both equally tricky and pointless. Moroz does hold a win over carrying Silva, happened quite a few years ago, but while Silva has shown relative improvement in her overall game, Moroz has done fuck all to show me that she has improved much despite facing better competition overall since then, marginally. Silva has been way more active and seems to be more interested in trying to actually finish fights. She also does have a better takedown and ground defense game to go with her physical advantages since they last fought. She will be chomping at the bit to get this one back, and I do like her to do so here. Decision is the official pick, but I like Silva to avenge the loss. Alright, Lee is pretty tough, but Silva is a savage finisher, and I like her to get this one done. She beat up Jasmine Jasuda Vicious, which is now looking like a better win day by day, followed by consecutive KO wins to back up the hype. The odds aren't really appealing here, but Silva does have heat in her hands, is willing to mix things up with takedowns if things aren't working out as well on the feet. I do like her variation and movement, and while I think Lee will be hard to get out of there, I expect Silva to dominate the rounds and get a UD win. Odds like this, I wouldn't fuck with it though. Betting against you at GM3 is usually a tricky proposition, and despite Petrovski dominating on the grappling scene against really good competition, my concern is that this might play into the game of GM3 with his long limbs and submission ability. Petrovski hasn't been subbed though, and has a clear strength advantage. For me, the standing game is actually fairly close, as I don't like Petrovski's winging punch approach. Straight punches are more effective against someone with the lack of movement that GM3 does show sometimes, but Meershart is coming off some brutal losses and might be a little bit gun shy. I'm going to take Petrovski to ground this one out and win a decision, avoiding the sub attempts. This was one of the fights I was waiting to be announced and commented I shouldn't have bothered on. Cody Gibson is allegedly carrying a knee injury going into this match, which makes me wary to pick him, but he does have this significant experience advantage and has faced much better competition on the regionals. He fought Ray Borg and lost by a UD, and he also fought John Dobson, who he actually beat, who's a very good opponent. I think this is going to be scrappy and horrible, and I'm expecting it to go to a decision. Without the injury, I'd probably side with Gibson, but the distance play is wiser given the unknown element of that. Yeah, I'm going to take Hubbard in this one. I liked his performances in the UFC, and I think he has a more varied and polished game than Halobaugh, particularly in his ability to offensively wrestle. Halobaugh has been dominated on the ground against lesser opponents, and I don't like this for him in this one. Hubbard is patient in his approach, tends to not get careless and scrappy, which Halobaugh tends to favor, and I think Hubbard will use a patient distance game to set up takedowns as a clear path to victory, and will keep him down and punish him a little on the ground. Both are dogs, and the distance play for the fight to go all three is the play for me here. Alright, Tiuliulin is very underrated and tough to finish, but I'm going to take Rodrigues to win this one. Again, I wouldn't play this with Rodrigues as a minus 345 favorite. That's embarrassing. And the danger is that if it does go past the first round, Dennis can make it ugly and scrappy, leaving the judges to fuck this one up again. I am going to take Rodrigues to crack him and hurt him, follow him to the ground and get a finish there, probably by sub, either in the first or second round. I don't think Dennis has the finishing ability that Rodrigues has, and that makes it hard to side with him. He's a tough motherfucker though, and a result on either side would not surprise me. Yeah, Chris Weidman's cooked. That bitch Karma broke his legs and we haven't seen him in 2 years. Before that, he was kind of getting dusted, experimented at light heavyweight, which went, let's call it poorly. Tavares is a bit of a journeyman and more of a volume striker, but I think he's going to be hard to take down and will chop away at Weidman's plastic legs to soften him up. I like his volume on the feet, and while he doesn't have much of a finishing ability, I think his work rate and the challenge in taking him and keeping him down will be difficult to deal with for Weidman, and that he will edge out a scrappy and potentially entertaining scrap. I like Tavares on the money line to put the final nail in Weidman's dusty coffin. This might come as a surprise to some people, but I'm picking Pedro Munhoz, man. and most people are going to disagree with me on this. Vera takes way too long to get going, and with this being a 3-round fight against the guy that's really hard to finish or even drop, if you look at his career, he doesn't really get dropped. I don't like this for Vera. The odds are also ridiculous, and I do think Marlon is a little bit overrated. Munhoz looked decent against Sean O'Malley, and I thought he won the first round before it getting prematurely stopped. He's a competent striker with more volume. He's literally fought everyone in the division, and despite the reach disadvantage, I'm going to trust his chin to get in close and land more. If this was a 5-rounder, I'd take Vera to win this late, but it's not, and I think Munhoz is worth taking a punt as such a wide underdog. Employee of the month, Damon Blackshear, coming off a training match last week against the Scrub, who, to be honest, whose name I can't even remember, were for a rare twist to win. That wasn't a fight really, it was playtime. I do like Blackshear. He's strong, well-rounded, but Bautista is very hard to get down and keep there, and has volume and a chin to put it on Blackshear, who, despite coasting through his last fight, has probably got a cut twice, and I don't love that for him. I do have to verify that though. I think that Bautista is going to aggressively go for Damon and cause more damage on the feet throughout the fight. Garbrandt must have got round to watching tape on him and ran away, and I think by the end of this fight, Blackshear is going to wish he'd not picked up the phone. Good move for him though, it's kind of a free spin for him, and the UFC loves dudes that step up. I just think Bautista is on a wave and is going to find a finish here. Despite being Irish, I do not like Ian Garry as a human, but this is an excellent stylistic matchup for him, which is why he wanted it so badly in the first place, the bitch. Magny is also taking this on a week's notice, but he will look to clinch with Garry as he usually does, and he's very strong on the break and has good knees in the clinch. Garry also has really good movement, is the far superior striker at range, and he has a lot of variation at his disposal. He also punches straight, but mixes vicious strikes to the body and legs, and is really hard to grab and take down. He's younger, he's had a very dedicated camp for a better opponent in Jeff Neal, and I think he's going to get a statement KO win here. I think it's going to happen in the second round. You're not carrying the card though, bro. Shut your face and let your fighting do the talking. Alright, this is going to be brutal murder. Weili is vicious on the feet, and now that she has added a dominant wrestling and submission game to her arsenal, she is unbeatable at this weight class. She carries the power and technical skill to negate Lemos' striking ability, and I think she's going to dance with her for a little bit, then drag that lemon down and beat the fuck out of her on the ground. Weili, for me, is the pound for pound best women's fighter on the roster. I thought she won the Rose rematch and was robbed, and outside getting KO'd in the original fight, she's looked pretty much unbeatable since. She's durable, piles on the pressure, trains like a man, and will outclass Lemon here to finish her on the ground. Alright, I've really gone back and forth on this one so many times, and there are so many variables to consider here. Dana basically hates Aljo for not fighting his boyfriend, making a robbery for the ages a genuine possibility. I don't care what people say about the judging and it being fair and there being commissions. The UFC does play a part in this. And also his cuts to the division seem to be agonizing for him more and more, which is a really dangerous proposition against the striking finisher with the class that O'Malley possesses. I see this fight basically going two ways. Either O'Malley finds his chin early, catches him depleted for a shocking KO, or Aljo eases into the fight, drags him down and dominates him on the ground for the majority of the rest of the fight. O'Malley is better down there than people give him credit for, but he's also got no experience outside of 3 rounds. And at 5 rounds, Aljo has all the experience in the world and has looked a different beast since his neck surgery, with a very frustrating style to deal with. I'm not betting on this one personally, and I think this fight carries enough weight without really needing to. I like Aljo, but I kind of want O'Malley to win so it keeps the division legitimate in what is sure to be Sterling's last fight here either way. My gut says Sterling edges it on the eye test by using his strength and grappling advantage to drag it into deep waters. Alright, so my record this year is not 209-100, it's actually 218-104, forgot to change it again, keeping my win percentage at 67%. I will be back on Saturday to break this one down as always. Sorry for the late one on this, but like I said, I wanted to see the whole card at its fullest. Have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you all for the reaction to this very card in a bit.